I saw a post that said, in 2017, after Jay-Z publicly admitted his infidelity, Beyoncé shocked marriage counselors by doing something most betrayed wives refuse. She demanded Jay-Z write a detailed letter explaining why he cheated, not apologizing, not begging forgiveness, but analyzing the psychological reason he betrayed her. Her therapist said she didn't want "I'm sorry." She wanted, "Here's the broken part of me that made this possible." Now, whether or not this is true is another story. But let's discuss a comment that was left under it that reflects something that is commonly said. It says, the idea on monogamy is a contemporary concept. For centuries, people married for economic reasons, not to force monogamy on men. Even in other countries, it is understood and not expected that men be intimate with one woman forever. Now we use therapy to make men question what is their human nature. They say men built the world, men made the laws, men gave women rights, but women force monogamy onto men? One of these things is not like the others. One of these things just doesn't belong. If men controlled most political, legal, and religious institutions throughout history, who exactly legalized and enforced monogamous marriage? Because it wasn't modern women. Now, this isn't the history of marriage everywhere, but it's part of the history of the marriage system we're living under. Long before Christianity, in ancient Athens and Rome, a man could only have one legally recognized wife at a time. Did that mean men only slept with their wives? Absolutely not. Men had concubines, visited prostitutes, and had sex with enslaved women. But they didn't marry all of them. Why? Because marriage wasn't just about sex. Marriage helped determine legitimate children, heirs, inheritance, property, family lines, and sometimes citizenship. What happened to the children men had with women they didn't marry? Did they have the same rights to their father, his property, or their inheritance? Nope. So who was responsible for feeding them, taking care of them, making sure they survived? Quick sidebar. Before 1662 in Virginia, a child's status followed their father's. That created a problem for slavery. If a white man fathered a child with an enslaved black woman, his free status could give that child a claim to freedom, so Virginia changed the law. In 1662, it was declared that a child's free or enslaved status would follow that of the mother. Now, a white man's child with an enslaved woman could be born enslaved, and if he owned the mother, he could legally own his own biological child. So when we talk about men's historical sexual access to multiple women, we can't only ask, how much sexual freedom did men have? We also have to ask, who paid the price for that freedom? The women, the children, other men? One of the biggest complaints in today's dating conversation is that too many women want the same small group of men. Historically, polygyny often meant wealthy and powerful men could have multiple wives while other men had fewer opportunities to marry or didn't marry at all. So if women competing for the same small group of men is a problem today, what happens when those men can marry all of them? So maybe the question isn't whether men naturally desire sex with multiple women. Maybe it's why societies led almost entirely by men still put limits around that desire. And one last question. If male sexual freedom means having children with multiple women without necessarily building families with or being responsible for those children, are fathers important in children's lives or not? Because we can't argue that children need their fathers and then build our ideal society around fathers creating children they don't have to father.